when I was 15, the most extraordinary thing that happened was that I was laying down in my bed, and suddenly I was I felt that I was sleeping, but actually I was not sleeping, and the whole roof came to me like it was falling apart in a very mm, energetical way, and suddenly just one eye, a sphere of an eye, started to appear from it, and everything around the eye started to twist like a galaxy, and as the eye was getting closer, I couldn't move, and so when the pupil of the eye touched my third eye, it was like a whole sound of when you hit a gong,
Yeah.
and in that moment that hit the gong, I could see particles and all the structures of the universe, and it was like, I don't know how long I was in that situation, but that's the exact moment when I felt the dimensions, the creation, the loss of the universe, all the information that many years after I started to share, to teach, to help people understand. All of that was in just those minutes uh,
Yeah.
of of an extraordinary memory that it became part of me.
Yeah.
Um, so I remember that when I woke up, I was hitting my head against the wall, and I
Oh,
was
really?
crawling on the floor because I couldn't stand it in my body, and
Mm.
yeah, I felt that I was breaking apart. Like every part of me was like breaking into different dimensions, and I couldn't hold myself. Like, what is Matias in that moment?
Mm.
So I believe it was like kind of a buffet ceremony without having anything. So it
Mm.
was um,
Mm.
like a whole opening in 1 second. Yeah, maybe 15 minutes of the whole thing.
It's the intelligence that was speaking to you.
It didn't speak with any voice. It was
Yeah.
presence. It
I
was
mean,
in yeah
metaphorically rather than literally.
yeah, it was like infinite presence. It was like the feeling that no matter where I was looking at, this presence was very firm and stable there, and I felt that this being was this intelligence was like a like a spider web,
Mm.
actually. So it doesn't matter where you you move one string, it resounds everywhere, like if it's happening right there.
Mm.
So um so he gave me a name in that moment, but actually the name that I felt is this gong that sounded in my head. So it introduced itself with that, which was um for me now I say it gun, but actually was like like that. So 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 I summarize it in gun for friends. So
Yeah.
and 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 now lately I've been calling it the weaver, because that's how I felt it. It's a consciousness that is weaving dimensions, that is weaving realities, and and he's only present there, like observing the vibrations of it.
Mm.
So I was as I tapped into that consciousness, I was everywhere, and I couldn't understand the story into beginning or future. It was impossible to distinguish anything.
Mm.
So, as you said, a 15-year-old boy that taps into that, it was. I thought I was of course going crazy, and I even asked my mom to take me to the psychiatrist or something, because for the next days I couldn't relate to anything. I forgot how to open a door.
Yeah.
So it was so much that the simple things were like disappearing from my head. So
Yeah.
I sometimes I forgot how to speak Spanish, or I don't know, or yeah, or to understand the colors or whatever was around me. So for like a year, I've been struggling with coming back to, okay, I have a body, I have, yeah, it was very complicated to tap
Extraordinary.
in that consciousness. What I perceived was like if the center of the brain became like a Wi-Fi antenna,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
shifting the perception of everything that was happening inside my brain, and how I perceived the light, how I perceived the shapes, the structures, the every one of the five senses. I usually say that we are we tend to believe that when we tap into another dimension, is like you are going to layers of heaven,
Yes.
and that's a way that the ancients used to have to explain it, because it was difficult to put it in words. So they had to explain it with things that they had around, which was kingdoms. So you have the kingdom of this, the kingdom of that, and the realms of this. But actually, it's because they were living like that. Today, we would say, I don't know, the democracy of that, or the republic of whatever. So we could explain in different ways. Of course, with science, we have better ways to explain today what is a realm. Is actually a level of vibration. So wavelength of light. So um, but what I felt what I felt inside was how these five senses that we have, they exponentially go into another level. So the same touch, or the same sight, or the same hearing, it goes like amplifying, and when all the brain is kind of working like a whole satellite to receive more signals from the everything. uh, it's not that you are um, uh, receiving something that is not possible to touch. Like I mean, for example, it kind of makes you feel that you can perceive the ultraviolet, or to feel frequencies that you are usually not able to hear, because our bodies are not designed for that. So you can hear frequencies that sounds like languages of beings that are speaking, that we don't usually hear their voices, like the trees, for example. So now, of course, with technology, you can tap in and you can hear the different ticks and vibrations that are emitting, that the trees are emitting. But when you tap yourself with your brain, suddenly you hear them speak, and they don't speak English or Spanish. They just speak frequencies and pulses. So you can understand what they are saying, kind of, and you translate it into human language. So I think that what is overwhelming is that we try to find an explanation for
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah.
and if it doesn't match with our previous experience, so it's very complicated to
Yes.
to actually. So we say, oh, it's from another realm, another dimension, but actually it's
Yeah.
ourselves expanding the way we perceive with the five senses.